On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative and the nomination is confirmed.
That was Vice President Mike Pence Tuesday casting an historic tie-breaking vote to confirm Betsy DeVos as Education Secretary. DeVos, a philanthropist and school choice advocate, faced fierce opposition from the Democratic left, with every Senate Democrat and 2 Republicans ultimately voting against her. Jeanne Allen is the founder and CEO of the Center for Education Reform, and she joins me now from Washington. So good to have you here. Good to see you again.
You too, Paul.
How do you explain the ferocious opposition to Betsy DeVos for, let's face it, is a relatively minor cabinet post?
Right, and those of us working in educational choice all these years were mystified because here's this relatively obscure woman working hard across the country to support school choices, and the things were flying all over the place, and Senate staffers and congressional people getting mean calls and being accused of doing all sorts of nefarious things. It really comes down to something, you know, Daniel Henninger pointed out in one of your pieces the other day, which is this is really about union power. It was not about Betsy DeVos.
And how much of it goes back to the fact that she worked for something called the American Federation for Children, which supports school choice candidates that support school choice at the state and local level. It's a counterforce for the teachers' unions, and they're winning in a lot of these elections. Was that revenge against her for that?
Yeah, it's revenge against her for the fact that not only was AFC, but all the educational choice progress we've made in 30 years, it's a mainstream idea now, Paul. This is not something unions have been able to stop. They've been able to slow it down. And don't forget, she comes from a state that basically removed many of those ironclad union protections.
Right.
And so the unions have been livid. They've lost 30% of their members in states like Michigan and Wisconsin. And school choice and charter schools allow teachers and parents to make choices and have the freedom to do education the way they want. Oh my gosh, you would think that that was like a crazy idea.
Well, yeah, well, so I'm a little worried here about one thing, and you tell me if you agree, that the school reform, school choice has been, for a large period of time, bipartisan. I mean, President Obama was for charters, at least he said he was. Bill Clinton was for charters. There are a lot of Democrats. Cory Booker was for charter schools, the senator from New Jersey who voted against Betsy DeVos.
Right.
Are we in danger here of the school choice movement becoming a partisan issue, Republicans for it, Democrats against?
It is a concern, and it's one that a lot of us are looking at, but the reality is Washington has always been partisan about school choice when the states have enjoyed a tremendous amount of, I'd call it, tripartisanship. And so we don't suspect it's going to have a negative effect on the states where, by the way, let's remind ourselves that that's where these issues play out, right? She can be a leader, she can be a great advocate publicly, but really her focus has to be on rolling back all of those regulatory burdens that Washington has imposed over time on schools and letting states and communities do what they do best, which is enacting the kinds of programs that we're talking about right now.
Okay, so from K through 12 at least, that education system, her main role is going to be bully pulpit.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So because they don't spend all that money. Well, let's broaden this a bit beyond Washington, and let's look at where you think the school choice movement in America is right now. How much progress have we really made in the last 20, 30 years?
Well, while many of us, including myself, don't believe that we made nearly enough progress, we also have to remember that for 30 years, we've actually rewound an education system that took 150 years to build. So the fact that we've got more than 3 million kids in charter schools, that we probably have another 500,000 students in other schools of choice, that schools districts like D.C. have as many as 45% of their kids in schools of choice. And, you know, the market share is growing, and this is an issue that people are more comfortable with, but there's always a battle on the state level, and it's not just about Democrats. I mean, we're fighting right now in Kentucky with Republicans to create a truly meaningful charter school program that they're getting pushed back by their rank and file in school boards.
Well, you know, this Republican opposition is interesting because I know I've seen it in a lot of cities. It was true in suburban Cleveland when a Republican governor tried to introduce school choice there. And so the unions can get to Republican legislators as well. For example, we had 2 senators, one from Maine, one from Alaska, who voted against DeVos. Is this in part a rural-urban split too?
It's a rural, suburban / urban, right? Because suburban people think their schools are great.
Right.
Even if they're paying for tutors out of their pockets, most of the time, and even though proficiency across this country is less than 40% for all kids, right?
Sure.
But we've convinced people that because the school looks good and the teachers are nice and the kids seem to be doing okay, that we're doing okay. The reality is we're not doing okay across the board, but Republicans have lulled themselves in a false sense of complacency that this is an urban issue, and that very urban focus that made school choice bipartisan came back to bite us when Betsy DeVos was nominated. It was those people, the left and progressives that liked school choice, that suddenly found themselves not able to vote for her.
Okay, interesting. Now, some people think that some supporters of school choice think, okay, they'll support charters, but really vouchers are a bridge to that which allow you to go to any school, private, public, whatever, are a bridge too far, and we should throw those voucher folks over the side because that's too controversial. Do you agree with that political strategy?
No, so this is really interesting. This has revealed a fissure in the education reform world that's been there and fizzled, but people didn't see it publicly. The reality is that that divide, like we'll throw vouchers off to get charters, is actually really only at the elite level. The rank and file people who are in those schools, charters, voucher-based schools, they are choice people. They don't care what kind of choice. Most parents just want an option and the power to do what most affluent Americans do every day. And so what you're seeing in this divide is not represented at the local level, and that's why we've made the progress we have.
All right. Thank you for being here, Jeanne Allen. Great to see you.
Thanks, Paul.